Good Tuesday morning, Oswego, and thank you for waking up with us. This is Top in the Morning, and I'm Dan I. Coming up for you, Central New York, somewhat average this year in terms of snowfall, as well as a fire destroys a bar in Syracuse. We'll have another check of all your headlines in just a minute, but first, let's get it over to Chief Meteorologist Molly Matat. Molly, what's the weather looking like this morning?
Well, good morning, Deanna. Good morning, Oswego. So great to come back to Tuesday morning news. Fortunately, last week when we came back, I was feeling a little bit under the weather. Now I'm here to give you the weather. Right now we're sitting at 15 degrees, a little bit colder than we're used to. These cold temperatures are going to come right back at us. We were spoiled with days in the 40s, but unfortunately, cold does make a comeback. However, look at this calm wind. That means our real feel is actually what the temperature is. So you won't have to account for wind chill today, but you definitely are going to want to bundle up as that snow is already starting to fall in Oswego. Now your top weather headlines, Oswego this week is lake effect central. We are going to see very large amounts of lake effect snow, and that bitter air does make a comeback. Again, we were spoiled with such warm days. Unfortunately, winter is coming back for one final strong push, but we will see a clearing this weekend, and I'll get into that in my full forecast. But for now, we're going to take a look at the regional radar. As you can see, widespread snow showers, but look at this lateral formation of snow. Looks like a line coming off the lake. That is our lake effect band that's going to start to affect our area. It's going to form right over us in the morning, and it's going to start to tip on up and start to dissipate as we head through the afternoon hours. So for today, we do have the lake effect snow warning for Oswego County until 1 p.m. today. So most of your travel is going to be inhibited in the morning and afternoon hours. By tonight, though, we can see 3 to 5 inches. However, lake effect snow is very local and very temperamental, so make sure you stay with Storm Team 10 as we give you our constant updates on the snowfall. Winds out of the west at 15 to 20 miles per hour rather, with gusts up to 30, so make sure that you take that into account with our 22-degree day. Probably going to feel like it's in the mid-teens. Now your 3-day forecast, as you can see, snow is really the main player in our weather game through Thursday. We see windy conditions on Thursday, but look at these lows heading into Wednesday and Thursday. We are dropping back into single-digit lows overnight, and especially with those strong winds, it's going to feel very cold for the rest of the work week.
Well, Molly, the story of the winter has been more so the cold than the snow after what we saw at the beginning of the winter. We thought this was going to be a very snowy year, but for Syracuse, not so.
Yes, for Syracuse, not so. For most other areas, we are actually above average. But it's important to note that cold is not necessarily correlated with snowfall. With things like lake effect, yes, that's true. But when it comes to synoptic snow that's coming through the area, that actually doesn't really depend on cold. So while the cold has been a nuisance, snow has actually been on average, and as you know, our past 2 years at Oswego, we've seen such light winters. Everyone thinks that this is such a terrible winter. We're actually pretty much right on point.
And of course, average for Central New York is over 100 inches still
exactly.
At this point.
So we're keeping it up there. No worries.
All right. Thank you, Molly. We'll talk to you in just a little bit.
All right.
All right. Investigators are still searching for the cause of a massive fire that destroyed a popular Auburn bar. The flames broke out at Tinker's Guild Tavern on Franklin Street around 9:30 a.m. When crews arrived Monday morning, there was already smoke pouring out of the wood frame building. The bar was closed when the fire broke out, and one firefighter did suffer a minor injury. The building is a total loss. The Central Square School District is weighing the option of closing one of its elementary schools. The school board is faced with the tough decision after a focus group weighed 6 options for the future of Cleveland and Cole Elementary. Last night, the board reviewed the focus group findings and came to the conclusion that options were still on the table, including closing the middle school and consolidating the students into one building. Central Square faces this decision as it tries to close a budget gap. And this week is National Eating Disorders Awareness Week. According to the association, 20 million women and 10 million men will suffer from a clinically significant eating disorder at some time in their life. Many of them will be teens. How can you spot an eating disorder? Carlos Azuz has the info.
The teenage years are fragile. Growing up can be tough. Peer pressure, first loves, academics, they can all cause a lot of stress. And that stress can sometimes lead to eating disorders, which take a big toll on adolescents, especially teenage girls. How can a parent help a child avoid an eating disorder? The first step is to understand why they happen. Although no one really knows what causes eating disorders like anorexia nervosa and bulimia in children, doctors say there are telling factors. According to the Mayo Clinic, some of those are social pressure. Everyone must be physically thin and very fit. Low self-esteem. Young people who feel they have little control over their lives might try to boost self-esteem by showing there's one thing they do have control over: their eating. Favorite activities. Watch what your child is involved in. Certain sports and activities value leanness. Perfectionism. Many teens strive for being perfect and don't realize no one is. This can create anxiety that could lead to an eating disorder. Talk to your children. Be their advocate. If you notice sudden changes in their weight, eating habits like visiting the bathroom after every meal, or level of anxiety, talk to them. They may need help. For today's Health Minute, I'm Carl Azus.
Coming up after the break, a check of your state and national news and a full look at your weather with Chief Meteorologist Molly Matat. But first, if you're heading off to Shinneman for class today, this is what you're going to see as you head out the door. Stay with us. You're watching Top in the Morning on WTOP.
The teenage years are fragile. Growing up can be tough. Peer pressure, first loves.
So, April,
Yeah?
your charger's still using energy.
That's not my charger. I don't even have a cell phone.
Millions of kids are using their energy wisely. What's your excuse?
I got Nicole Susan. Shocking drives it road all the time. Just had a few drinks. Just can't be happening.
Are we clear?
Clear. We're just buzzed. Just buzzed. You didn't tell us that, sir. You're right. This isn't happening. You'll be fine.
I feel good.
Really? No, not really.
Buzz driving. Maybe we should stop acting like it's no big deal.
Shocking.
Malcolm, you know energy savers last 6 times longer than regular bulbs.
This isn't my room. It's Baron Davis's.
The basketball player? This is his room?
I don't live here.
Millions of kids are using their energy wisely. What's your excuse?
Welcome back to Top in the Morning. Molly, we've had the warm temperatures at the end of last week, and now we're back, and you said before, the single digits.
Right.
That leads to flu season, cold season. I know a lot of people around the station have been under the weather this morning.
This girl included. But no, people usually say as temperatures warm up and then when they come back down, your body kind of goes through a confusion mode, and you tend to get a little bit sicker as you start to adjust to the temperatures. Now, when we talk about this morning, we are in the cold stretch as we look at our current conditions. We are currently looking at 15 degrees there, that lovely picture of the day one more time. But as we look at our current conditions, as you can see, we're sitting at 15 degrees right now. That's a little bit colder than we've been used to, and the snow is already starting to fall from the sky. However, this real feel is right where we are in temperature world because of these calm winds. So we won't have to account for wind chill today. Now, this chilly trend really does span across the state. 2 degrees in Glens Falls, that is 2 degrees above zero. That's cold. However, for the rest of the state, we are in the mid to upper teens, 17 in Rochester, 16 in Syracuse, 16 in Albany as well. But if you want warmer temperatures in a whopping 25 degrees, you're going to have to go all the way down to the Big Apple. Now, your regional radar, like I said before, we have some scattered showers starting to affect western New York and even into our area. But as you look, you see these streaks of snow starting to come off of Lake Ontario. That is our lake effect band that's starting to pick up once again and will impact our weather. That's going to form and start to move up north throughout the day. So for today, we do have the lake effect snow warning. That means that our travel will be impeded by lake effect snow, especially in Oswego County, but it's only until 1 p.m. today. So if you are commuting to class or going to work in the early morning to afternoon hours, you might see some snow and you might see some delays. But after that, I'm not going to rule out snow entirely, but your main worries should be over by then. 3 to 5 inches by tonight, but like I said, lake effect is very spotty and very local. So make sure you stay with Storm Team 10 as we give you updates on the latest snowfall. Today our high is 22 though, with these winds out of the west at 15 to 20 miles per hour with gusts up to 30. Now the west wind is really the key player in all of our weather this week. West wind allows for lake effect. As you can see, we have this very cold air mass over us right now. However, Lake Ontario is still above freezing. As you might have noticed, after our warm weekend, the ice really started to melt off, especially on the coast. So what this allows to happen is with a west wind coming across, the cold air travels across the lake, warm moisture is sucked up into the air, and that's what forms our lake effect band that gives us these snow totals that we'll be seeing in the next couple days. So planning your day out with Futurecast. At 10 a.m. you can see widespread snow showers. If I had to draw the axis of the band, it would probably be right here over Syracuse, maybe over Oswego, but widespread snow, not just in the band. As we move forward with time at 1 p.m. you can see the band is starting to shift up north. Western New York, you're in the clear, but over in Syracuse and in the Tug Hill, we're going to start to see the lake effect snow. And by the time you hit 4 p.m., as you can see, look at these spotty showers. That lake effect band has lifted north. The sun has made it dissipate, and we will see spotty snow showers into this evening. But be careful. Look at that Futurecast at 7 p.m. Lake effect starting right up again. Lake Ontario cannot wait to dump more snow on our area. But before you look at that exclusively, make sure you keep an eye on this. This is a clipper system that's going to start to move in through the evening. So the snow will continue, no significant accumulations, maybe a blanket of 1 to 2 inches. And it will be a mix of lake effect and that synoptic snow with the clipper. But look at that low, 15 degrees. We're starting to get colder with winds out of the southwest at 15 to 20 miles per hour. Now tomorrow the lake effect does stay with us. As that clipper moves through, it allows our air to get a lot more moist, and that's going to allow for lake effect. Just to watch though for now. If we do have updates into a warning, again, make sure you stay with Storm Team 10. For Oswego County for 7 a.m. Wednesday to 1 a.m. Thursday, so mainly the Wednesday block of time, we could see an additional 3 to 6 inches. But check out that high, or should I say low rather, that is a low high of 18 degrees with winds out of the southwest at 15 to 20 miles per hour. Now what I want to talk about is this cold late week setup rather. As you can see, we have a low pressure system circulating counterclockwise to our north and a high pressure system circulating clockwise to our west. What that's going to do, as Storm Team 10 meteorologist Daniela said last evening, that's going to create a funnel effect, and it's really going to force the cold air into our area and start to affect us, as you can see from our 5-day forecast. Check out these lows for Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday. We are back in the single digits, and with those strong winds, if you have evening plans, it's going to feel below zero, so make sure you bundle up. But as you can see, snow is our main player in our game, but we will see a clearing on Saturday evening. Finally, a break in the snow for Oswego. Back to you, Dan.
All right, thank you, Molly. Police say someone intentionally set several fires at a mall in New York. Firefighters fought 2 of those fires at a Sears near the Queens Center Mall. One was burning in the basement, the other was burning on the top floor. Police say someone also started fires at a Macy's, Burlington Coat Factory, and at a Bed Bath & Beyond. Police went over some of the surveillance footage from the stores, and they brought a man into custody for questioning, but they haven't officially identified anyone as a suspect as of yet. In Pentagon News Conference, Defense Secretary Chuck Hagel laid out his 2015 department budget proposal that includes a major cut in defense spending that would bring the Army to its pre-World War II size. Hagel says tough decisions had to be made.
We are repositioning to focus on the strategic challenges and opportunities that will define our future. New technologies, new centers of power, and a world that is growing more volatile, more unpredictable, and in some instances, more threatening to the United States. The choices ahead will define our defense institutions for the years to come.
The plan would also retire the A-10 Warthog attack jet and reduce some benefits for fighting forces. Hagel's budget will be formally proposed to Congress next week. It is expected to come under heavy criticism from lawmakers. And Ukraine's parliament voted unanimously to remove Ukrainian President Viktor Yanukovych from power. But the embattled leader said Saturday he's not going anywhere, even after the parliament voted him out. For more on the story, here's Scott Thompson.
I'm not trying to leave the country. I'm not going to resign.
The defiant statement comes one day after he signed a peace deal ending the bloody protests that left at least 26 people dead. Even after the deal, some protesters stayed in Independence Square, where most of the violence broke out, calling for the president to step down.
No, it's not a deal. as long as he is the president, the opposition will, this movement will continue.
The parliament also freed his political opponent from prison and moved up the country's elections.
It is a Ukraine of free people. You have given it as a gift to us, to everyone.
The uproar against the president began in November when he turned down an economic deal with the European Union in favor of a deal with Russia. Images of the violent protests earlier this week can be seen in this amateur video showing security forces charging at a crowd in Kiev. While the violence has ended with the peace deal, there are still many dead left to be buried. I'm Scott Thompson reporting.
The United States says they are monitoring the situation and are ready to impose additional sanctions on Ukraine if their government doesn't end the violence against peaceful protesters. Well, there's a big hockey game coming up this week on campus, and let's bring it back home to Oswego with Rob Hackford.
Good evening, everybody. Oh, good morning, pardon me there. The team is getting ready for this Wednesday's big game, but some of their methods seem to be a little bit unconventional. Morgan Bonner just did the bunny rabbit stretch there to work on those calves. He's walking it out. Oh, and here comes the groin stretch. He's making sure to keep those legs loose for this Wednesday. Now Sean Holshoff here is doing the windmill, but wait, he's looking for a deeper burn with a deep lunge. Now that's dedication. Oswego is 1-1 with Fredonia this season, and SUNYAC play, and Oswego is definitely looking to match their play from their second meeting, where the Lakers won 5-1. The team also likes to work on a little foot-eye coordination, which is a key aspect of any hockey play, but really it's mostly just to loosen up before every game. It keeps some team spirit alive. Well, the team is ready and the ice is cold. The last piece, let's just make sure the crowd is there to support them. Well, I've worked on a couple hockey games this semester as well as the last semester, and this one is going to be a big one. I mean, the first playoff game of the year.
Yeah, the start of the campaign for the Lakers, and I was actually doing some research yesterday. This is the first time they've hosted a game on a Wednesday night since 2004, so it's been exactly 10 years since we've seen this kind of scenario for the Lakers, but nonetheless, should be an exciting atmosphere.
Yeah, it does seem like an awkward night a little bit, but hopefully we'll get a good turnout, especially with it being such a big game.
And after the Plattsburgh win last Saturday night, and they would have to go back there again, certainly good fortunes for them, and hopefully they can keep this hot streak going.
Definitely, the team should be fired up.
All right, thank you very much, Rob.
Thank
We're
you,
going to
Dan.
take another quick break. When we come back, we will have a full check with your entertainment news with Chelsea Frisbee. But first, take a look at what's for lunch today. You're watching WTOP 10's Top in the Morning.
Everyone has friends. There's online friends, friends to go out with on a Saturday night, friends to hang out with and do nothing, friends who show up on moving day. And then there are the friends who'll be there if someone is dealing with a mental illness. Are you one of those friends?
Teaching a kid football is one thing. Keeping a kid in school, that's the name of my game. My name is LaDainian Thomason. I don't just wear the shirt, I live it.
And welcome back to Top in the Morning. Chief Meteorologist Molly Matat here with a quick look at your weather to get you out the door this morning. As you can see, we're sitting at 15 degrees right now. We're a little bit chilly this morning and the snow is already starting to fall from the sky. That'll just increase as we head through the day. However, calm winds and the real feel actually feels like the temperature. That's the first time that's happened in Oswego in a long time, so make sure you enjoy this windless walk to your classes this morning. Now, the state temperatures are equally as chilly. Glens Falls is all the way at 2 degrees. That is cold. However, for most of the state, we can see highs, or current temperatures rather, in the mid to upper teens. 17 in Rochester, 13 in Binghamton, 10 in Jamestown, almost pretty cold. But if you want warm temperatures, you'll have to go all the way to New York City for a whopping 25 degrees. As we look at your regional radar, as you can see, spotty showers are starting to increase in western New York and even into central New York. Now, as you see this kind of line of snow, that is our lake effect snow band starting to form off of Lake Ontario, and that's going to be our main player with weather today. It's going to form over us and then start to move north. As you look for today, we do have a lake effect snow warning for Oswego County, which means that your travel and other outside activities will be impeded by snow today. However, that's only until 1 p.m., so mainly for the morning into the afternoon. Anything after that, you should be clear, not snow-wise, but travel-wise. I'm not exactly ruling out snow for the rest of the evening. By tonight, though, we could see an additional 3 to 5 inches as that lake effect band starts to move north with winds out of the west at 15 to 20 miles per hour. Planning out your day for you with the Storm Team 10 day planner. As you can see, at 8 a.m. we were at 12 degrees with snow starting to fall. At noon, we moved to 18 degrees, still more snow, and as you can see by the time we head home, even more snow. We're going to hit that high at 22 right around 3 o'clock, though, and then we'll start to taper off from there. Really cold starting to bring, and as you can see, tonight's low is 15 degrees, and the snow does continue as a clipper system moves through our area. However, as you can see by tomorrow, lake effect starts right on up again. We're in a lake effect watch from 7 a.m. Wednesday to 1 a.m. Thursday, so really all of the Wednesday block, morning, afternoon, and evening, with an additional, 3 to 6 inches for Oswego County. But look at that high of 18 degrees. Not really much of a high at all. And that is indicative of these colder temperatures that are going to start to come into our area. As you can see, this pattern sets up. The jet stream dips to our south, and we have a high pressure system keeping us very cold. Now, this setup is going to allow for this very cold Arctic air to come into our area. It's really going to start to funnel in due to this low pressure system and this high pressure system. This is kind of like the comeback of the polar vortex. It's nowhere near as I know I said polar vortex. There's nowhere near as extreme as we saw in December and January because those are very cold months. February is relatively warmer to those 2 months, and the sun in the sky is actually stronger. So while it will be a cold wave, we won't feel it as drastically as we have before. Now, as you look at your 5-day, you can see our lows just start to taper right off into the single digits. But the snow does stay with us, and we are looking at a windy day on Thursday. But for the hockey game on Wednesday, you might have to deal with a little bit of snow, but other than that, go out there and support those Lakers.
Well, perfect setting for a hockey game, a snowy day to start.
Yeah.
Not too bad, but speaking of snow, our favorite Canadian is back in the news again, Chelsea.
Our favorite Canadian is back. So we'll start things off with your weekly Bieber update this morning. The pop star's breakout hit Baby is the first video on the music video YouTube channel Vevo to pass 1 billion views. This happens day before Bieb's 20th birthday week, and his 11 other certified videos on the channel have over 100 million combined views. Gangnam Style remains the most popular video of all time on YouTube, but we'll see what happens once Bieber puts out his next vid and those believers get to viewing. In a strange and lengthy public letter to New York Magazine, Alec Baldwin has called it quits from the public eye. He says he is still an actor, but the letter describes how he is in constant defense because the quote, to quote, everyone has a camera in their pocket who wants to taunt you and catch you doing something embarrassing. It was a rough 2013 for Baldwin, who amongst fights with co-stars and getting fired from his own talk show, had a slew of angry rants against photographers, journalists, and the people he worked with. So it comes to no surprise the veteran actor has become disillusioned by celebrity life. Robin Thicke and Paula Patton have separated. The Canadian pop star and his wife met when he was 14 and have been married since 2005. A rep for the couple says they have decided to remain best friends, but at the time decided it was best to part ways. Maybe this is what happens when you sing a creepy song about blurred lines. Your marriage's lines start to blur as well. And sadly, the comedy world lost yet another genius yesterday. Harold Ramis, known for his work in film including Ghostbusters and Groundhog Day, died due to a complication with autoimmune inflammatory vasculitis. Ramis also co-wrote the infamous Animal House and directed Caddyshack. He was just 69 years old. And that's it for your entertainment news.
Chelsea, it seems like we've had a lot of Canadian musicians in the news this morning, and
yes,
it's somewhat surprising. I mean, Robin Thicke, the song, so much popularity. I wonder how much of that played into this separation with him and his wife, as you mentioned.
From my understanding, Paula was very supportive of her husband, even when he was getting so much backlash against the song and the meaning of it. But it seems that, you know, they've been together a very long time. The couple has also been quoted to say that we believe that we've been together for many lives. So they just think that it's time to move on. I mean, to be with somebody since you were 14 years old, that is a very, very long time.
Now, I didn't even know that Alec Baldwin had a talk show. When you were reading that story, I was
He
like,
had a very brief talk show with MSNBC that, due to some fairly derogatory comments against people like Rachel Maddow and other things, you know what, Alec Baldwin, straight up New Yorker, can't control himself sometimes when he runs his mouth.
No
All right, thank you, Chelsea. All right, well, why is a 17-year-old making national news? Find out after the break. Stay tuned. You're watching WTOP 10's Top in the Morning.
Hey guys, this is my teenage friend Fred.
Rad! Hey pal, you want to pay attention to the road?
Relax, man, I got it.
Look, my man, if your bad driving gets me killed, you better hope you die too, or I will haunt you silly. And I'm not just gonna float over your bed like, woo! I'm gonna be making a more annoying noise, like, ah! And instead of wearing those long white robes, I think I'll wear something more form-fitting and upsetting. The other ghosts will look and be like, wow, we've never seen that before.
Hi, I'm CNN's Rob Marciano, and you're watching WTOP 10, your television station.
Take my hand and start a brand new day. And together as one we'll start to see some change.
Underneath everything we are, underneath everything we do, we are all people, connected, interdependent, united. And when we reach out a hand to one, we can influence the condition of all. That's what it means to live united.
Welcome back to Top in the Morning here on WTOP 10. Just a minute to go here in the show. Let's toss it over to Molly Matata, our chief meteorologist, with a final check of your forecast.
Taking a quick look at that 3-day forecast over the next couple days. As you can see, we are getting colder. Look at those lows on Wednesday and Thursday in the single digits. Now, especially with this lake effect, you're going to want to follow WTOP 10 on Twitter because we do tweet updates with the snow, but follow us on all other sorts of social media on Facebook and send us an email if you have any cool weather pics.
Molly, you said polar vortex again earlier, and my head almost hit the desk.
I
I don't
know.
want to go through that again.
Listen, one more, well, maybe not one more, but one last cold blast of winter will not kill us here in Oswego. We've seen worse before. All we got to do is get through this, and we will see a clearing by the end of the weekend. So the snow will stop, not necessarily the cold.
Are we anywhere near breaking out of this slump? Are we going to see a
Well,
significant warm-up any time in March?
According to Puxatawny Phil, we should be headed for a warm-up any time now. But unfortunately, I say we might have to stick with the cold for just a little bit longer.
And when it comes to weather, I always trust Molly Matat more than a groundhog.
Go with the human. Go with the human.
I would significantly agree with you. All right, well, thank you for waking up with us this morning on WTOP 10. I'm Dan I.
And I'm Molly Matat. Have a great morning, Oswego.